Hello, welcome, and thank you for volunteering your time with the Innovations for Learning TutorMate online literacy program. Your commitment is going to play an important part in improving the reading skills and confidence of young disadvantaged pupils who need extra help. This webinar training will cover general features of the tutoring platform, the new calendar system, how to use the new IFL voice system, and tips for working with your student. If you are new to TutorMate, learning how to navigate Tutor Portal is an important first step before you start working with a pupil. If you're a returning tutor, welcome back. We've made some changes that you'll want to know about before you start reading again this year. Please don't worry about making copious notes during this training. You will be able to review this video and shorter extracts through our training page at your convenience. Let's begin with a short introduction about early reading. Pupils come to school from many different circumstances and with many different learning abilities. Some of the children may come from backgrounds where books and reading are not a part of their home lives, or they may be learning in English for the first time. Research has shown that students from economically disadvantaged backgrounds have often been exposed to almost 32 million fewer words than their peers by the time they start school. That translates into a large learning gap in both oral language development and word vocabulary. We also know from Department of Education data that 36% of English children from disadvantaged backgrounds left primary school unable to read to the expected standard, and that 69% of children who are not reading to the expected standard at the age of 7 don't reach the required standard by 11 either. Developing children's ability to read requires that they learn phonics and the fundamental strategies of reading, skills taught in every Year 1 classroom. But learning reading strategies isn't enough on its own. Children must also spend time reading out loud with someone who can encourage their progress and gently guide them in learning successful reading habits. As you coach your pupil each week, you are helping them to develop in 3 vital ways: building the ability to decode the English language and its nuances, increasing their reading confidence, and last but not least, inspiring a love and a joy for reading. Teachers really appreciate the one-to-one support and consistent regular practice you provide their pupils each week. As part of the TutorMate team, you are a precious asset in the classroom and also act as a positive role model. At the beginning of the year, each pupil is assessed by their teacher and assigned a reading level based on word and phonic knowledge, comprehension, and fluency. The teacher will also select 10 pupils from their classroom to participate in the TutorMate program. The pupils selected will be emerging readers who have mastered letter names and letter sounds and are now ready to focus on learning to sound out and read simple words. With your support, these pupils will show significant reading gains and an improvement in confidence with the additional practice you provide each week. Making sure pupils are reading at the correct reading level throughout the year is important to their success. If a child struggles consistently with the text and gets frustrated, they're likely to want to give up. The opposite is also true. If a pupil is reading material easily and understands the meaning of what they've read, it's time to move them to more challenging reading material to fend off boredom. To ensure the content of the stories found in our program are properly levelled, IFL follows the book-bound reading levels used by most schools with coloured levels that range from pink to purple. This range represents beginning reading texts through to early Year 2 reading texts. Reading at the correct reading level is important for young readers, so how do you know when to move a pupil to the next level? The goal is for your pupil to read to you at his or her instructional level. That means that they should know approximately 80% of the words in a story and can successfully read with your help and support. If the pupil is flying through the text and they understand the meaning of what they've read, then it's time to consider moving them to the next reading level in the program. It's useful for you to know that the children you're supporting will be using specific vocabulary in the classroom to help them identify parts of words. This vocabulary can seem rather technical to someone who's unfamiliar with early reading instruction. We've included a PDF with links to videos about phonics and a glossary of terms in the resource section of Tutor Portal. When working with your pupil, you may find it helpful to use these terms. Here are a few examples of some of the terms pupils will be familiar with. Blending. Children will identify and blend sounds to make a word. These sounds are also known as phonemes. For example, the word snap has 4 phonemes: s, n, a, p. When working with your student, try saying, "Let's work on the sounds in this word and then we can blend them together." Digraphs and trigraphs. Digraphs are 2 or 3 letters which together make one sound, such as the E sound in the word seen. There are 3 different types of digraphs: vowel digraphs like seen, tool, or sneak; consonant digraphs such as the sh sound in shine; and split digraphs. Split digraphs work as a pair to make one sound but are separated within the word. Words like late or right are examples of a split digraph. You and your assigned pupil will work together for the entire school year. As you work together, be sure to document their progress in the notes section of the portal. You will be amazed at the growth your student will achieve by the end of the school year. The most frequently asked question is, when do I get my pupil assignment? The criteria that must be met before pupils can be assigned to a tutor are as follows. 1. All 10 tutors from the team assigned to the same class as you have registered and passed their enhanced DBS check. 2. All 10 tutors on your team have completed the online training program. 3. Teachers have completed the shared schedule and pupils have been selected for tutoring. Please note that teachers will take some time at the beginning of the year to assess each pupil's reading skill level prior to selecting them for tutoring and to ensure children have parental consent to participate in the program. As soon as you're assigned a pupil, you can sign up for your weekly session and start calling your pupil. Generally, most assignments are made in October. In the event your pupil moves away or you have concerns that the student may not be developmentally ready for TutorMate, please let us know by sending an email to help@tutormate.org and we will try to assign you a new student. Once you've been assigned a pupil, you're ready to sign up for your weekly tutoring session using the scheduling calendar. To schedule a session, go to www.tutormate.org and sign in using the same username and password you used when you registered with TutorMate. The scheduling calendar is a virtual replica of the class timetable shared by you and your teacher and is where you schedule your weekly tutoring sessions. Before your team starts tutoring, the teacher will block out times on the calendar that are not available for tutoring. You're welcome to sign up during any time that is not blocked out by the teacher or already taken by another tutor. The calendar is a Monday to Friday calendar and is date specific. Any sessions scheduled by you will be in blue, tutoring times not available will be in black, and your repeating weekly sessions will include the repeating events icon. Let's take a look at how to schedule a weekly session. Review the calendar for a day and time that is available and click in the cell to open the scheduling window. From the scheduling window, confirm or modify the start time. Click Repeat Weekly if this is the time you wish to tutor each week, and then click Save. From the month at a glance view, you can see your tutoring time is listed for each week on the same day and same time. If you find you're not able to make your weekly tutoring session due to a conflict, you can schedule another session for just that week. To create a session that does not repeat, click in the cell to open the scheduling window. From the scheduling window, again, confirm the start time. Click Do Not Repeat and session will only show up for the week you selected. Be sure to click Save when you're done. Feel free to delete the repeating weekly session for that week if you're not going to call your student. If you select this event only, it won't delete future or past sessions and will free up time on the schedule for that week. If you need to permanently change the weekly session day and time, click All Repeating Events and create a new session. Let's take a quick review of features you may find helpful throughout the year. Events can be dragged and dropped from one spot to another. A single repeating event can be deleted without compromising future or past events. If you find calling the classroom 5 minutes after the hour results in more frequent calls being answered, you can manually adjust the time on the calendar. Remember to click Update Events when making adjustments. The calendar can be viewed by week, as a weekly list, or by month. You can also toggle from week to week or month to month. We provide a link to quick view instructions for how to use the calendar. To view those days when students are not in school, click on the school's calendar link to view the term dates of your school's area. Because you share this schedule with your teacher, he or she can also make changes to the calendar. In the event of a field trip, assembly, or other special activity when children are not available, the teacher can temporarily block those times when they're not in the classroom. If this happens, the block will show up on the calendar. If the temporary blocked time interferes with your session, you will receive an email that your pupil is not available for tutoring. Please note that for periodic schedule changes, some teachers elect to send a message from the tutor platform rather than block out times on the calendar. If at any time you experience problems during your session that can't be resolved by our chat support team, or you experience frequent no answers, please let us know by sending a message from the support link on the homepage or emailing us at help@tutormate.org. When you are ready for your weekly tutoring session with your pupil, go to www.tutormate.org and sign in to the TutorMate platform. From the homepage, click on Start Session. Notice the information on the right side of the screen. This includes your pupil's name and the name of the school and the teacher. It also includes your student's gender and current reading level. On the left side of the page, you will find the IFL Voice status bar and 3 buttons that indicate pupil availability. Let's take a look at the IFL Voice status bar first. IFL Voice is a new feature and provides the audio connection between you and your pupil. IFL Voice will replace the Skype audio application in many of our participating schools, although some may continue to use it. When you sign in to the tutor platform and click Start Session, the IFL Voice application will perform 2 functions. First, it will check to make sure the classroom computer is ready for tutoring, and second, the system will retrieve the number you should use to call your student. Each time you tutor, IFL Voice will retrieve a new phone number. Please do not save this number. The number will be active for the duration of the current session. You will get a new number the next time you're scheduled to tutor. When the session phone number is available, call the classroom using your mobile or office phone. If the session phone number does not appear, there may be an issue with the classroom computer. You should contact live chat support for assistance. If your school is using the Skype application this year, a number will be available on screen when you log into the tutoring application. Unlike IFL Voice, the Skype number will be the same for the entire year. Under the IFL Voice status bar, there are 3 buttons that indicate student availability status. Click on the first button, Student is available, begin tutoring, if your student is available for tutoring. This will initiate the start of the session. If you call the classroom and do not get an answer, click on Phone Not Answered. The system will track that information and we will contact the teacher if this happens over 2 consecutive weeks. You should also reach out to chat support so that they can check the classroom computer. They may ask you to try your call again. Select the third button, Phone Answered but Student Unavailable, if the phone was answered but your pupil could not participate in the session. It may be the student was absent or not available due to an unexpected activity. Again, the system will track that information and we will contact the teacher if your student is consistently not available. Each classroom has a designated phone greeter who is responsible for answering the phone and notifying your pupil it's his or her turn to read.
When it's time for your reading session, you log on, dial the class number and the greeter answers your call.
Hello, who do you need? Connor.
The greeter finds the right child and the reading begins.
Hello. What's up?
When you have your student on the phone, the first task will be to select the correct reading level for them. The reading level set by the teacher can be found in the information located above the reading level circles. When you're ready to begin, click on the appropriate reading level colour circle and click Continue to launch the first activity. Prior to your session, the classroom computer will be sitting in a virtual queue waiting for you to connect. When you click on Start Tutoring, your computer joins the classroom computer in the virtual queue. Unlike screen sharing, your computer and the classroom computer are independent, even though they display the same material. As the tutor, you control the session and decide what activities to show to your student. The first step to getting started with the activities will be to select your student's reading level. This is done for both flashcards and stories. Reading levels are set by the teacher and will be listed above the reading level buttons. If the teacher doesn't move the student's reading level after a 30-day period, the system will prompt you to move the student to the next reading level. If you find the material is too difficult for your student, you can always move them back to the previous reading level and then try advancing them again the following week. Let's now walk through the activities in the tutoring application, demonstrating how you and your pupil will see them during a real session. The first activity in the sequence is flashcards. Flashcards has two functions. It gives students an opportunity to practice sight words, and it tests students' knowledge of words that follow similar patterns. Both are learned skills that will help increase reading proficiency. Spend 5 minutes at the beginning of your session on flashcards. Once your student is reading at level orange, you can skip the flashcard activity and focus more time on reading. When you click on a word, your student will see the same word on their screen. Each time your student gets a word correct, mark the word green by clicking on the green button. If your student struggles with a word or gives an incorrect response, mark the card red by clicking on the red button. Your student will only see the words you show them and will not see the words you have colour-coded in green or in red. To confirm your student has received the flashcard you sent, watch for the Sending To and Received By prompt. This feature is available for every activity and will help you gauge when the student can see the material you sent. The next activity in the series is stories. Reading stories out loud is the most important thing your student will do, as it's where he or she gets a chance to practice. You should ideally spend 15 to 20 minutes of your session each week reading stories, but each child will be different. When you're ready to read stories, click on the story icon from the activity menu, select the appropriate reading level and click Continue to open the story library. A library of levelled books will be displayed on both your screen and on the student's screen. The student will tell you which book he or she would like to read by giving you the number next to the book title or describing the picture. You will select that story and your student can begin reading. Let's take a look at a typical story and make sure it's clear what you do and what your pupil will see. When you choose a story from the library, the child will see page 1 of that story on their screen. While you can advance the stories forward using the arrow keys, your pupil will not have that option and can only see the page number. You might decide to look through or walk through the whole book with your pupil before reading it. You can mention some of the key words and give them a sense of the story before they read it, which can boost the confidence of early or reluctant readers. Do remember to use the pictures in each story too. When you start to read each page, you can help your pupil prepare to read by asking them to look at the picture and describe what they think the story is about. As you read, you may want your student to focus on a particular word. You can show that word to your student by typing in the message student box. For example, if your student is struggling with the word park, you can type the word or its individual letters into the message student box and send that word to your student. Remind them to sound it out using their phonics. When you send the word to your pupil in this way, it will appear for them as if spoken by a small owl in the top left of the screen. Asking them what the owl is saying is a good way to check they can see the word you've sent. Asking questions about the story is a good way to see if your student is able to remember key points of the story. Can the student tell you about the story in their own words, or make connections between the story and their own experiences? Not all stories include comprehension questions, but feel free to spend time asking your student about the story when you're finished reading. If a story does include comprehension questions, they will be presented on your screen at the end of the story. The pupil screen will display pictures to help them remember what the story is about. Depending on what level your student is reading at, there are 3 types of stories to choose from: primary stories, controlled text stories, and science stories. Primary stories use words that students are learning in Year 1. By reading these stories, students are increasing their word knowledge and practicing newly learned words. Once you feel your student has mastered a level of primary stories, it may be time to test their fluency skills using the controlled text stories which appear at higher levels. When reading controlled text stories, we want students to practice reading with fluency. In other words, can the student read without having to stop and sound out a word? Can they read the text accurately and with expression? Students who can read controlled text stories fluently are ready to move to the next primary story reading level. Science stories are presented in later levels. These are very engaging texts that introduce science-related content about the Earth, space exploration, and chemistry.
New this year are Aesop Fable stories. These historic short stories are entertaining and are great for teaching life lessons.
In addition to providing stories for practicing reading and fluency skills, we also provide students with word games designed to build their knowledge of words and word parts. You can fit these in between stories to break up reading or offer children a chance to do them before you say goodbye for the week. Feel free to experiment. There are 3 word activities to choose from. What follows is a brief look at each game. To view step-by-step instructions, click on the Directions link at the top of each page. In the word sort activity, students will practice sorting words based on their word endings. This is great practice for students learning how to sound out words. As the tutor, you will select the word from a list of 9 words you'll see above the coloured boxes. Your student will see the same word on their screen, but will only see 1 word, not the menu that you have. Ask your student where the word belongs based on the word ending. Once you click on the appropriate box, the word will populate and the student will see the same word on their screen. Once all the words have been placed in a box, draw your student's attention to the similarities of the words. Then ask your student to read the words in each box. 3 in a row is a favourite activity for many students. This additional exposure to words will help encourage fluent reading and word identification. When you're ready to begin, determine who will be a cross and who will be a nought. Notice each box has a word. Your pupil can see the same words as you. Taking turns, you and your student will try to be the first to get 3 crosses or noughts in a row up, down, across or diagonally. When you place a cross or a nought in the box, your student will see the same thing on their screen. Mystery word is a fun way of learning vocabulary and will help students remember the spelling of new words. To begin, think of a word or use one of the suggested words found on the right side of your screen. The student cannot see these words. When you have a word in mind, click on the number of letters of the word. Your student will see the same number of blank spaces on their screen. As your student begins to guess letters, click on the letter on the keyboard. This will highlight that letter for both you and your student. Place your cursor on the appropriate line and select the letter using your computer keyboard. Your student will see each letter on their screen. You may find your student needs a little help getting started with this activity. Consider filling in the first letter or offering a clue to help your student guess the word. The whiteboard simulates a magnetic board and is great for practicing spelling, difficult words, or making up fun sentences. Type a word or phrase in the field at the bottom of the screen. When you click Submit Word, your student will see the same word or phrase on their screen. You can also move words and phrases around by dragging anywhere on the board. Why not make up a story together each week? While it may be tempting to spend more time with your student, please end your session promptly at the end of 30 minutes. There may be another tutor scheduled immediately after your session, and the system only allows for 1 tutoring session to be running at a time. Once children have mastered letter names and sounds, there are 4 components to becoming a proficient reader. The first is having a strong oral vocabulary. The second is having enough knowledge of the world to give context to what the pupil is reading. The third is being able to read a passage fluently, and the fourth is being able to comprehend that passage. These are all interrelated, and during the course of the year with your pupil, you will help them build these skills. The skill we would like you to focus on with your pupil is fluency. Fluency is the ability to read a passage with reasonable speed and expression so that it sounds natural. When reading fluently, the pupil doesn't need to expend too much processing power on a particular word and can think about the story in its totality. The key skill a pupil will need in order to read fluently is called word attack. Word attack is learning how to read words that are not easily read by sight. For these words, the pupil needs to have some form of phonics-based strategy in order to sound out the word. As we covered in the introduction, children in UK schools are taught to read using a system called phonics. Phonics focuses on the sounds of letters in a word rather than their alphabet names, as it's easier for children to understand. Remember that the children you're supporting will be using specific vocabulary in the classroom to help them identify parts of words, and that if you're able to use some of this vocabulary too, that can help to guide them. We've included a background document with links to explanatory videos about phonics and a glossary of terms in the resource section of Tutor Portal. Let's look at a simple sentence. I have a plan. The pupil will likely know the first 3 words by sight. However, the last word, plan, the pupil is unlikely to know by sight. In order to understand the sentence, the pupil will need to know some kind of phonics strategy to sound out the word. The word attack strategy that is used in all English primary schools is for children to sound out p, l, a, n, using single sounds or phonemes and then blend them to read the word. So, when a pupil comes across a difficult word, encourage them to use their phonic knowledge and blend the phonemes together to read the word. Some pupils struggle to remember when to use which sound for a letter, so be patient with them and encourage them to experiment when a word that they're reading does not sound right in context. While we want pupils to give the word a try, we don't want them to dwell too long on a word that they just can't seem to identify. Ask your pupil to continue reading the sentence and return to the difficult word after finishing the story. There may be a cue in the story that will help the pupil identify the word. As you read stories with your pupil, you will notice that words in the story are colour-coded. These words are colour-coded in your view only. Words are colour-coded to indicate sight words and words that conform to standard phonics or phoneme blending patterns. Sight words, indicated in red, are words that appear frequently in Year 1 texts. Pupils should learn to read these words by sight and not spend time trying to sound out the word. If a pupil struggles with one of these words, help them sound out the word by using the blending technique. Initially, many pupils chosen to participate in TutorMate may struggle from a lack of confidence, and you may encounter children who are very shy and hesitant to read out loud. Some may appear to be uninterested, others may be easily distracted, and some may even tell you they don't want to read. Please stick with them and offer them encouragement and praise. It may be that you need to read with your pupil for less than 30 minutes to start with to build up their concentration. You might want to take turns reading if they struggle and get them to spot any mistakes that you make. Our monthly newsletters will also offer you a variety of tips and tricks to use as the year progresses. The notes section of the Tutor platform is a great way for you to track your pupils' progress week on week. Use the notes section to document words or skills your student has mastered, as well as skills they may need to work on during the next session. Keeping regular notes provides a wonderful documentation of the progress your student will make throughout the year. Please do not use notes to report a problem or ask a question of your teacher. Teachers will not routinely be reading notes. While IFL and teachers both can view notes, the primary function of this feature is for you to track your students' success and progress. If you need to ask your teacher a specific question about pupil progress or behaviour, please message them using the messages section of the platform. While we do everything possible to ensure you have a successful session with your student, there are times when you may need support during a session or need to report a problem. Let's first take a look at what you should do if you need help during an active session. During your time with your student, you may encounter a technical issue, and it's important that these issues be addressed quickly. Please do not ask your pupil's teacher for help. We have chat support agents standing by to help you with any problem you may encounter during the session. Our live chat support agents have direct remote access to the tutoring computer in the classroom and can resolve most issues within a few seconds. There are a few generic issues that you might encounter that can be fixed quickly by the live chat team. For example, an audio level that is too low, a window that may be blocking the tutoring application, or confirmation that the student can view the activity that you sent. Anytime you encounter a problem that affects the quality of your session, please contact a live chat support agent immediately. Don't wait until the session is over to let us know that you had a problem. There are 4 options available should you need help when tutoring your student: live chat, IFL mobile chat, Citrix fast chat, and phone support. To reach a support agent using live chat, click on the orange bar located in the bottom right corner of the tutoring application. The support agent will acknowledge your presence in the chat room and you can begin the chat. Most volunteers have access to live chat. However, If your organisation does not allow live chat, we do have other options available. To view other support options, click on the Help Options link at the top of the page. Please remember to have the school and teacher name available when using a support option other than live chat. Let's take a moment to review the other options available. You can use IFL mobile chat from any smartphone that is not blocked by your organisation's firewall. From your mobile phone, go to www.tutormate.org/chat. You'll be prompted to input your information the first time you visit mobile chat. The information will auto-populate the next time you access the app. If your organisation allows fast chat, go to www.gotoassist.com/sb/tutormate. Once you're logged in, follow the prompts to connect with a chat support agent. You're welcome to call us on the phone if you can't reach us on chat, however response time may be slower. For phone support, dial 0203 314 7710. In addition to our live chat support team, we are introducing a new feature that will give you an opportunity to report a problem that was disruptive to your session. During your session, you may experience an issue that disrupts or makes it difficult to work with your student. To report a disruption, click the Disrupted link at the top of the page and select the problem from the drop-down menu. While this does not replace contacting a live chat agent, it does give us valuable information about your session. This information is reviewed daily and will be used to make sure your next session is not disrupted. We know that there are times when you may have concerns or would like to speak to one of our customer support specialists. If you would like a customer support specialist to contact you directly, you can send a message to the specialist by clicking on the support link on the home page. The specialist will respond to your message within 24 hours. You're also welcome to email us at help@tutormate.org.
Tutor Portal has a built-in message tool that makes it easy to send and receive messages to and from your teacher. Every time you visit the Tutor homepage, you can view any new messages received. To send a message to your teacher, click on the Message Your Teacher icon on the homepage. Click on Create a New Message and type the message to the teacher. When you're done, click Send Message. When there's a message pending for your review, you will receive a text and/or an email message alerting you to check the message section of the TutorMate portal. If you would prefer not to receive these messages, check the text and/or email opt-out box on the messages page. Please note that we encourage teachers to communicate with their tutors as often as possible, but some teachers may not have the time to routinely send or reply to messages. If you have a question that needs to be addressed by your teacher and you have not received a response within 3 to 4 days, please contact help@tutormate.org and we will contact the teacher for you. You'll remember that when you signed up to Tutor, you were asked to read and agree to IFL's Child Safeguarding Policy and Procedure. We're just going to go over the key features of that policy to be sure that you're clear what your responsibilities are and what behaviour we expect from TutorMate tutors. During your tutoring session, your pupil may share something with you that you find concerning. In the event that a child discloses something that leads you to suspect abuse or maltreatment, you should do the following. Be welcoming and allow the child to speak openly, but be clear that nothing can be kept confidential. Try to make a note of the child's exact words. Try to react in a calm and reassuring manner, controlling any shock, and show concern. I'm so sorry that this has happened, and I will make sure that we deal with this. Do not ask any leading or probing questions such as, what was your mother doing at this point? This is the job of the designated school safeguarding officer. Continue with the TutorMate session if possible. As soon as the session has ended, report the concern immediately to help@tutormate.org.
When calling the classroom for your session, keep in mind that primary school classrooms are very busy and can be unpredictable. Young pupils are always on the move, which means that your calls may not be answered right away and may occasionally be missed. Please try calling back if you do not receive an answer on the first attempt. Sometimes it takes a little longer for the phone greeter to answer the call. If you still do not get an answer after a second attempt, contact the support desk so that they can check the equipment for you. Year 1 classrooms do get noisy, and some classroom activities can create a lot of commotion. If you find that a noisy classroom consistently interferes with your tutoring session, please report this to live chat support, as they might be able to help. Do also let us know by clicking on the relevant disrupted category at the top of the screen. If needed, we may ask you to consider moving your weekly session to a different time slot. You can also ask the pupil to raise the quiet please sign to remind the teacher that he or she is in a session. A pupil being absent or an unplanned activity can sometimes interfere with your scheduled session. If this is the case, you may receive a message from your teacher letting you know that your pupil is not available for tutoring on that day. A good rule, however, is to always call the classroom unless you hear otherwise from the teacher. Consistent tutoring is very important to your pupil's reading success. For those times when your pupil is not available for tutoring, consider signing up for a one-off session on another day that week. If you find that you have not had an opportunity to tutor your pupil for 2 or more weeks, please report this information to the support team so that we can investigate further. During the school year, when geography permits, we encourage tutors to take advantage of 2 opportunities to meet with their pupil: the meet and greet and the year-end celebration. The meet and greet typically takes place in November and December and is a short one-on-one informal visit where you and your fellow tutors can travel to your assigned school to meet the classroom teacher and say hello to your pupil. For tutor teams who are not able to travel to the school at the beginning of the year, we can organise a virtual meeting so you can see your pupil if your organisation can assist with this. At the end of each year, we encourage our volunteer tutors to visit their school and celebrate the great reading work done with their pupil during the school year. Please remember that while we actively discourage you from taking an individual present for your pupil, whole class gifts or healthy snacks are very welcome. This is a wonderful event for teachers, tutors and pupils, and you won't want to miss it. If you're interested in participating in either of these 2 opportunities, please contact your organisation's tutor coordinator for more information.